Hey, Dustin here at Bearclan Jiu-Jitsu. This is our fitness area, and today we're going to answer questions. What are the best exercises for your Jiu-Jitsu program? When I first started Jiu-Jitsu, there was all of these sort of what they are now as gimmicky type exercises designed to sort of strengthen very specific positions within Jiu-Jitsu. And what they found, especially now, a lot of the strength and conditioning coaches I follow, as well as Jiu-Jitsu coaches I follow, what they found is you really want to focus your skill work on the Jiu-Jitsu mats, and you want to focus on broad-based strength and conditioning in the gym. When you specify your strength and conditioning to try to match specific movements only for Jiu-Jitsu, you actually miss out on a lot of the solid foundation that prevents injuries, keeps longevity on the Jiu-Jitsu mats. And you watch the top performing athletes, not just in Jiu-Jitsu, this actually translates to a lot of other sports. A lot of other sports top coaches use this same model, and you actually see longer lasting athletes, people that are performing well beyond their peers when they focus in this way. Depending on where you're at with a tournament or a competition or specific goal, then you're gonna shift your focus into the more endurance, the HIIT style, the sort of circuit training to get your cardio, your lungs prepped and try to peak for that tournament. In your off season or in between, you need to focus on either your hypertrophy, right? You're building your muscle fibers, you're building that foundation, or you're gonna be focusing more on sort of the power and strength recruitment. And that's really done utilizing your rest periods and your sets and rep counts. You can use pretty much the same types of exercises for both of those categories. And then for the last category, when you're talking about endurance, you just want to be careful that you're selecting weights and specific movements that are going to minimize injury. If you haven't done a lot of strength training, I would recommend either using any split, anything that you want to. You can do an upper body, lower body type split, a push-pull with a lower body split. You can do a full body, right, routine 3 times a week. There's a few different ways to sort of split up that routine, and it just is going to change the number of sets that you're doing per muscle group. If you're going to go full body, you're going to do less sets, but then you're going to do them more times in the week. You also need to sort of be careful of how hard you're pushing when you're lifting the weights in timing with your Jiu-Jitsu classes and your Jiu-Jitsu training. You just want to make sure. One of my knee injuries occurred after I was doing a very, very heavy squat routine. And then an hour or two later, I went into class and I just didn't have the strength to support my knee joint and tore my meniscus. So things like that can happen. So you just need to make sure you have adequate rest between the times, or you're shifting how hard you're pushing. So these are your basic movements that you need to cover in your program. I'm trying to think in order of priority. So you have your squat, your hinge. You need a horizontal pull. You need a vertical push. You need a vertical pull, and also a horizontal push. And then obviously the last one is your core. So that's not just crunches, but it's your whole trunk. It's twisting, it's crunching, it's stabilizing. So there's a lot of different ways to challenge that. Tristan is just gonna start with the bar. This warms up your body. Always do a set or two, warm up your muscles. I prefer to use the exercise you're doing to warm up your muscle groups versus just like running or rowing or something like that. So you're gonna come in, this is low bar squat. You have your hands wider than shoulder grip apart, step underneath the bar. And there's 2 ways to do this. The bar can sit high, which is called a high bar squat, or you can sit it lower. What you need to do is you need to constrict these muscles, relax for just a second, come through, and there's a muscle band right here that creates a shelf for the bar to sit on. It feels a little, I prefer this style because I don't feel the pressure on the back of my spine, where here I feel it in the muscle shelf, but you have to flex your back and your shoulders, okay? Contract your core, stand up and lift the bar, then back out of the rack, boom, okay. So now what you're gonna do is in your squat, you take a breath, and instead of sucking your abs in, you're actually filling your core, and then you contract to stabilize. You're just gonna do 15, maybe 20 reps So much of jujitsu requires a lot of flexibility and mobility. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to hurt your flexibility by training your strength through a limited range of motion. Also, there's a lot of new studies that are showing that optimal muscle growth takes place when you're accessing the full range of motion. So if you can see, slow down for just a second as he goes down. Or some people will stop their squats about here. Okay, go back up. What you need to train, go all the way down. Go ahead, boom, now watch. As he comes down here, if you notice in jiu-jitsu, we're in these positions a ton, whether we're from our back, whether we're on top in headquarters, and from here, you need to generate all of your strength and power. And so learning to train your body that way is really important, right? Re-rack, boom, and then up, power up, very good. Catch your breath, go. Oh, okay, a little slower on your descent, that's good. Go. Boom, good, perfect, re-rack. Then we have our hinge. We're gonna go deadlifts. As a warm-up, I prefer to just to start in a standing position. This is just to warm it up. This would technically be RDL or a Romanian deadlift. But here, again, locking in your core, you wanna squeeze your trap muscles. And when you squeeze your trap muscles, it locks your spine into a nice, stable, straight, locked position. And then as I hinge, my hips go backwards. As the bar travels down, my knees do bend, but I'm not so much squatting like this. If you notice, my butt's traveling backwards as the bar comes down. So there's a nice bend in my knees, but it's my butt traveling backwards. And then I'm here, because my traps are squeezed, it locks my back in straight versus rolling my shoulders forward, and it's sort of creating a rounded, stretched back where it's gonna overly strain your back. So you're here, and then same thing, you're squeezing with your glutes, your hamstrings, up. You can do a Romanian deadlift, starting that standing position and really focusing on just the hinge, or once you're warmed up, you can put the weight on the ground and do a classic deadlift style, which is gonna recruit a little bit more of your quads because of the knee bend required to get into that position. This actual stance is really good training for your headquarters type position in jiu-jitsu. When you're in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of headquarters positioning, okay? This is very similar to your setup in a deadlift, all right? Knee shoulder width apart, gripping on the outside of the bar, right? Boom, this locked position, my lats are locked in, my glute, my quads are everything locked in. I'm here. And then from this position, I'm gonna generate the power, hips in, chest up as I lift the weight. Suck the breath in and support your core. Choo. Boom. Boom, all right. Extend all the way, yeah, keep going, just go. Look, make sure, lift your feet off the ground as you come down, no. That way you can get full extension, go, full range of motion. None of these cheap pull-up, little like baby reps, pop, 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 pop. It's fine if you're burning out your muscles, if you're trying to, last of your set, last of your reps, that's totally fine. Keep going, why are you resting? Rest. If the last couple ones you're burning out, it's fine. Boom, let's go. One more, come on. Come on. There's lots of row variations that you can use with the dumbbells. You can post one arm dumbbell rows. You can do dumbbell rows with both. There's lots of different variations, but you need rows. It's one of that pulling, controlling motion is one of the biggest sort of muscle strength groups that directly translates to jiu-jitsu. This guy here, or some variation of this, is gonna be a huge, huge asset to your gym. Find a gym that has something that you can do this with. So one, you can do ab exercises, locking in your ankles, and then doing really big, deep sit-ups. But the bigger portion is here, like this. Now it feels like a similar muscle recruitment as a deadlift, but the hang here, it just changes how you're recruiting the strength. And so what you want to do is you want to pull through with your glutes, your hamstrings, as well as your back. Boom, and flex and hold that isometric strength. Relax down, boom. And obviously you can hold a dumbbell, you can hold a kettlebell, some other form of weight to add more resistance. So that's another hinge variation to incorporate. The only main single muscle stuff I'll do is curls and tricep extensions. Outside of that, I tend to not get overly fixated on anterior delts, rear delts, top this, that kind of stuff. You know, you also need trap and neck exercises. So this is borrowed from the knees over toes guy. This really, really helped my knees post knee surgery on both of my knees, and I've just incorporated it. I don't recommend loading really, really high with this, but this really pushes the mobility in your ankles and your knees, as well as the strength from a very overextended position. And so that's just basically, it's a very deep lunge. And then instead of doing your lunge here, you're gonna travel your lunge this way here. And it really stretches the mobility in your ankle, as well as your knees traveling way farther. It's compressed, and then from there driving up, okay? As you become more comfortable, boom, with that lunge, okay? Then you can begin to add a couple dumbbells, you know, and then load that position up, boom, just like that, okay? Obviously it's a slightly different muscle group than a regular lunge, and they're both equally needed. That's a little bit more on the mobility, flexibility side of things. There's a lot of really fantastic tools. I love kettlebells. I do a lot of kettlebell training. It's really helped my shoulders, my hinge, my core. Kettlebells is one of those things you just want to make sure that you're learning proper technique, get somebody who knows how to teach it well. Another really awesome tool are maces. This is just great grip training, as well as shoulder, like your shoulder girdles and how you control it. Again, it's strength and mobility. It's strength through full range of movement. And adding those types of things can be really beneficial. All of what we did today is focused on either muscle hypertrophy or strength and power based on the number of sets and reps that you're utilizing and how heavy you're going, how much you're loading. And we used barbells, but most of those exercises can be directly translated to dumbbell variations, and they're just as effective. Oftentimes people struggle to load as much because there's more stabilizing muscles, which are incredibly beneficial. Then for your cardio, your conditioning, you're gonna start incorporating circuits. So you're gonna use 3-4 movements, and you can set it up with an EMOM style, you know, a set number of reps every minute on the minute. You can go for 50 seconds on, 5 to 10 seconds to get to the next station, utilizing a rower machine, the assault bike, which is just, both of those are just brutal. The fan bike just sucks it out of you. Using Tabata sprints, you know, that's a 10-second sprint, 20-second recovery, 10-second sprint, 10-second recovery, or 20-second recovery. You can reverse it, 20-second sprint, 10-second recovery. 2 different variations of that. Obviously, the treadmill, using your sprints that way. using, if you're familiar with Olympic lifting, snatches or clean and press or jerks, those kinds of things, a little bit of lower weight, but you combine that with a few other exercises and you can set up a circuit where you're pushing sort of your overall strength and your ability to keep movement and power and muscle recruitment for extended periods of time, as well as for explosions with quick rests in your ability to recover. Doing all of those all at the same time is not a great plan. Doing some form of cardio a few times a week with strength training a couple times a week is fantastic. You can use, if you roll hard in your jiu-jitsu program, do strength training and then use the jiu-jitsu mat time as pushing the cardio. Use the rounds, push your pace during the live round so that you're pushing your cardio. You're not just, I'm tired this time, so I'm gonna take a rest round. No, push through it. Use it in that same slot of I'm pushing my conditioning right now. And it can go really far. Hope you enjoy, hope this was helpful for you. Maybe in the comments, put down some of your favorite exercises. What strength program do you recommend? What have you used that has worked for you? Is there a particular exercise that you found is most beneficial for your program? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Oh my gosh.